This is Booked for Drama, where stories burn, hearts break, the tea is always hot and never a part 2. Today we're diving into Left on the Day I Said Yes. Let's go. Chapter 1. Ms. Caldwell, just to clarify, you want the entire wedding to proceed as planned, but the bride will be someone else? Did I get that right? Faced with the planner's baffled expression, Emma Caldwell didn't even blink. She nodded, calm and composed, like she hadn't just detonated a bombshell. Yes, the wedding will go ahead in 2 weeks, as scheduled. I'll send over the updated materials in the next few days. All right, would you like me to inform Mr. Donovan? No. Her tone was sharper than intended. The planner flinched. Emma caught herself and quickly softened her voice, a faint smile tugging at her lips. He's been quite busy lately. From now on, coordinate everything with me directly. This wedding was her final gift to Marcus Donovan. And like every perfect surprise, it only meant something if the person never saw it coming. Not until the very last second. Emma left the wedding planning company and booked a ticket to leave Chicago on her phone. Just as the booking confirmation message popped up, Marcus's call lit up her screen. When she picked up, his gentle coaxing voice came through. Emma, Mom said she misses you and wants me to bring you home for dinner tonight. She also said she has something for you. Can you guess what it is? Everyone in Chicago knew Marcus was cold by nature, his words and actions always distant and composed, never letting anyone get too close. Women threw themselves at him, one after another, but from beginning to end, he only gave all his tenderness to Emma alone. Until today, Emma had always believed this to be true. Emma and Marcus's mothers were best friends with an extremely close relationship. She and Marcus grew up together as childhood sweethearts. However, back then, less than a month after Emma's mother passed away, her scumbag father remarried her stepmother. Emma's stepmother framed her and had her sent to a remote, impoverished area. When she regained consciousness, a drunk man was trying to assault her. In a panic, she grabbed a scattered wine bottle from the ground and smashed it on his head. The drunk man convulsed on the ground a few times before going still. Just when she was scared and helpless, Marcus kicked open the creaky door and rushed in, holding her in his arms. At that moment, in Emma's eyes, he was like a savior descending from heaven. Even after being rescued, Emma still suffered severe psychological trauma. From that incident, Marcus accompanied her day and night, persistently taking her to see famous psychologists for treatment and trying everything he could to make her happy. Slowly, she began to heal. With that kind of devotion, even the coldest heart would be warmed. But because she had witnessed her scumbag father betray her mother with her own eyes, Emma became very cautious about relationships. Before agreeing to be with Marcus, she had told him seriously. Marcus, I can only accept unconditional love. If you stop loving me, we can part peacefully. But if you betray me, I'll make sure you never find me again. Marcus raised his hand to swear, both excited and nervous. Emma, I only want you for my entire life. I promise I'll always love you and treat you well. Time will prove my love for you. His earnest promises from back then had echoed in her ears. But now, time had delivered its verdict. Marcus couldn't stay true. He wanted it all, Emma and another woman, betraying their relationship. Just last night, in the pocket of his discarded jacket, she discovered his marriage certificate to Claire Garrison. The Donovan family had sponsored many poor students over the years, and Claire was one of them. Emma remembered Claire vividly, not because she was particularly outstanding, but because Claire had many scheming thoughts. Emma had personally witnessed Claire showing interest in and pursuing Marcus. But at that time, Marcus coldly rejected her. Sorry, I have a girlfriend. When Claire kept pushing, Marcus belittled her worthlessly and completely crushed Claire's hopes. From then on, Claire never appeared in front of Emma again. But over a month ago, Marcus suddenly mentioned that Claire's mother was critically ill and dying, wanting to see her daughter get married. Before she passed, Marcus, who had never given Claire a kind look, actually asked for Emma's opinion, expressing that he wanted to help with this favor. Emma refused without hesitation and reminded Marcus word by word of a vow she had said when she agreed to be with him. I only accept unconditional love. If you want to take part in it and give it to someone else, then we can only end things here. Hearing these words, Marcus's expression immediately changed drastically, and he quickly swore that he would never betray Emma. She thought this ridiculous matter had ended there. But unexpectedly, Marcus not only secretly obtained a marriage certificate with Claire behind her back, but also kept her as a mistress. He entangled with Claire day and night, completely disregarding that they were supposed to have their wedding in 2 weeks. Emma's lips curved into a self-mocking smile. She was only grateful now that she had discovered all this before the wedding. Not receiving a response, Marcus's voice carried confusion. Emma, are you listening? Emma responded softly, I'm not home. I'll go to the old mansion myself later. You don't need to pick me up. Marcus's tone was concerned. When did you go out? Why didn't you ask me to accompany you? Emma heard the sound of fabric rustling, and a woman's soft panting coming through the phone. Her expression turned icy. I prepared a surprise for you for our wedding day. I just came to discuss some things with the wedding planner. Marcus's voice was filled with barely contained excitement. What surprise? Emma's lips twitched. If I told you now, it wouldn't be a surprise. You'll find out on our wedding day. Marcus suppressed his excited feelings and responded gently, everything's up to you, Emma. I'll look forward to this surprise. See you tonight. Before hanging up the phone, Marcus even made a few exaggerated kissing sounds. But Emma knew those weren't sounds he made himself. He was actually kissing another woman. She pretended not to know anything and looked calmly at the disconnected call. Her heart was already turbulent inside. Marcus, I hope in 2 weeks, when you see everything at the wedding, you'll truly find it surprising, she thought silently. Chapter 2. After hanging up the phone, Emma did not go straight to the old house. Instead, she returned home. The spacious apartment over 300 square meters did not seem empty. It still felt very warm after she and Marcus had carefully decorated the place over the years. She had thought that this would be her and Marcus's eternal home. But ever since she found out about his betrayal last night, it was no longer the case. Half a month ago, Marcus had already taken out the diamond ring meant for their wedding day and given it to Emma. Emma watched as he designed the 2 rings, one stroke after another. At that time, Marcus hugged her and explained with a longing look on his face. I designed grooves on these 2 rings so that when you put them together, they can form a heart-shaped pattern. It means we will never be apart. Emma pulled herself away from her memories, took out the diamond ring without any reluctance, and dialed the number for delivery service. Hello, I'd like to schedule a package delivery. Since Claire will be the bride on the wedding day, these rings full of extraordinary significance naturally belong to her. After scheduling the delivery at 9 a.m. on the wedding day, Emma let out a long breath of relief as she watched the courier take the ring package away. Chapter 2. The 300 square meter home was filled with traces of love between her and Marcus. Before leaving, she would restore everything to the way it was. When Emma arrived at the old house, her eyes were still red. Kate Mitchell noticed it. She looked behind Emma, surprised not to see Marcus. Why are you crying? Did Marius do anything to you? Emma didn't know who to tell about her grievances. No matter how good Kate was to her, she was still Marcus's mother. She forced herself to stand tall and tugged the corners of her lips into a smile. No, it was just too windy outside, and something got into my eyes. When she raised her hand to rub her eyes, she wiped away the tears that were dropping. She then returned to her composed self. Kate sighed in relief and said with a smile, if Marcus ever does you wrong, you must tell me. I will teach him a lesson. Not long after Emma arrived, Marcus's car pulled into the underground garage. Seeing that he had not come up yet, Kate asked Emma to go fetch him. In the garage, Emma spotted the only car with its headlights on. Marcus was sitting inside, smoking a cigarette and staring intently at his phone screen. He didn't notice her approaching. You dress like this to seduce me. I don't think you'll be able to get out of bed tomorrow. Claire's coquettish voice came from the phone. Consider this a service. Limited time only. Don't forget to come tonight. Marcus cursed and replied harshly, just wait and see how I'll deal with you later. After hanging up the phone, he still looked like he could hardly control his emotions. He smoked several cigarettes to suppress his impulses. Seeing the way he acted today changed her perception. The man she thought loved her so much wasn't just capable of loving someone else, he could even be this passionate with them. Emma put on a bitter smirk as her stomach churned. A second before Marcus stepped out of the car, Emma turned and walked away. They returned upstairs almost at the same time. The servants were setting up the dining table. Kate glared at Marcus unhappily. What took you so long? Emma even had to go down and get you. Marcus froze. He looked at Emma nervously. You came to look for me earlier? Emma looked at him with a neutral expression. Well, I saw you were on the phone, so I came back up myself. What's wrong? Marcus stared at her for a long time, still looking nervous. Did you hear who I was talking to? Emma felt it was ironic, but she didn't let Marcus notice anything wrong. I didn't hear anything. If not a client, who else could it be? She looked at Marcus, who suddenly relaxed. His expression turned into the gentle look she was familiar with. He raised his hand and gently patted her head. It's not a client. I ordered new jewelry for you for the charity dinner next week. It was someone from the store. Whenever you're around me, I'll make sure that you'll always be the brightest one in the crowd. After her traumatic incident, the Donovan group would hold a charity dinner every once in a while, with Marcus at the helm. He would donate all the money raised through the foundation named after Emma's name. He did all this as a service for Emma, hoping that she would be free from illness and disaster in the future. Marcus was an atheist, but he did this for her nonetheless, and she was moved for a long time. But now, Emma responded calmly, whatever you think is best. After dinner, Kate took out a redwood box. She then took out the gold bracelet and put it on Emma's wrist. This has been passed down through the Donovan family for generations. And now, it is finally yours. Kate smiled lovingly, her eyes glancing between Emma and Marcus. Emma looked at the bracelet. The exquisite lines made her wrist look thin and fair. But she was not in the mood to appreciate it. She forced a smile before taking off the bracelet and putting it back into the box. I appreciate the gesture, but it's better to wait until the wedding day to receive such a meaningful gift. Emma's words were firm, so Kate could only say that she would put it on her personally on the wedding day. On the way home, her stomach cramped. Her period had come early. After returning home, Marcus brought her pain medication. He then personally took off her shoes and socks and prepared a foot soak. Emma looked down at the top of his head, and her heart was torn apart. He had obviously changed his mind, so she couldn't fathom why he was still treating her well as before. After she lay on the bed, Marcus put his hand on her belly and rubbed it gently. She felt sleepy, but she couldn't fall asleep at all. His phone vibrated twice softly. Emma noticed him pick it up, his breathing getting heavier. The strength of his hand increased quite a bit, too. As he wished, Emma's breathing gradually became steady, as if she were sleeping. Marcus got out of bed quietly, changing his clothes and slipping out. Emma stood by the window, watching his car speeding away. She didn't feel any pain even when her nails dug into her palms. Chapter 3. The next morning, when Emma woke up, Marcus had already returned and was busy in the kitchen. When he saw her coming out of the bedroom, he immediately smiled. Come and try the cannoli, I just learned how to make them. I heard it's supposed to lift your mood during your period. Looking at this scene, Emma was stunned for a moment before sitting down at the dining table. She raised her head and looked at Marcus, her eyes inquisitive. Where did you go last night? Marcus's smile froze instantly. He looked away from her before he quickly composed himself. He sat next to her, holding her hand with a worried look in his eyes. Last night, there was an emergency at the company, so I left for a while. I saw you were asleep, so I didn't want to wake you up. Did you have a nightmare? The pain in Marcus's eyes looked so real, without a trace of falsehood. Emma didn't understand why someone could separate love and sex between two people at the same time. She did not answer. Marcus held her in his arms and comforted her softly. Then he called his assistant and asked him to schedule a checkup and send over the medicine. For a long time after she was rescued, Emma had to take medicine to fall asleep. Even then, she would often dream about that night. The smell of alcohol, the blood on her hands. Worried about her, Marcus slept on the floor in her room for a long time, just so that he could be by her side as soon as she had a nightmare. But even someone so attentive, so devoted, still betrayed her. When Emma looked up, she saw a not-so-obvious kiss mark on Marcus's chin. He dressed very casually at home. He usually left the top 2 buttons of his shirt undone, revealing a glimpse of his sexy Adam's apple. But today, he buttoned all the way to the top. Under the sleeves that were slightly rolled up for cooking, a suspicious scratch was accidentally revealed. Marcus did not realize these flaws had all been exposed to Emma. It went without saying to figure out where they came from. He picked up a cannoli and brought it to Emma. Smelling the sweetness and thinking of what she had just discovered, her stomach churned. She hurriedly pushed him away and rushed to the bathroom. Marcus followed her with a worried look on his face. When he raised his hand to wipe the dirt from her mouth, Emma suddenly lost control of her emotions and pushed him away. Don't touch me. His hand froze mid-air. He looked at her in confusion and said in a low voice, Emma, did I do something wrong? Emma tried to adjust her mood before speaking. No, I just read a novel and accidentally saw you as a character in the book. Marcus breathed a sigh of relief, and then he approached Emma again. He wiped the water stains on her face as he laughed and joked. What kind of novel were you reading that got you so into it? Emma looked up and stared at him. It was about a couple that everyone thought was a match made in heaven. The guy betrayed the girl. He couldn't make up his mind on who he really wanted. So in the end, he got nothing. Marcus, would you be like that? His fingers trembled slightly, but he quickly controlled himself and hugged her tightly in his arms. That's just fiction. No one can separate us, and I will not fall in love with someone else. Emma, you have to believe in my love for you, Marcus answered firmly. It was unclear whether he was trying to convince Emma or himself. Marcus took Emma to the hospital for another checkup. He probably noticed that something was wrong with her mood, so he stayed by her side for the next few days. Soon, the day of the charity gala arrived, and Marcus took Emma to choose a dress. She looked on with little interest, her eyes falling on a dark-colored dress. Do you like that one? Marcus noticed her gaze and asked softly, then try it on. If it fits, I'll have it sent home. Before Emma could say anything, the staff came over and said hesitantly, I'm sorry, Ms. Caldwell, this dress has been reserved. How about I recommend another one for you? Marcus stared at the staff with an uneasy look on his face. His voice left no room for discussion. Ask the customer if they are willing to give up the dress. If they do, I can provide them with a new dress for free. The staff looked at Emma with a troubled look, then walked over to Marcus's side and replied in a very low voice, Ms. Garrison reserved it. Even though her voice was very low, Emma still heard it clearly. She turned to look at Marcus and found the changing expressions on his face. It's just a dress. I asked them to let you have it, okay? Emma shook her head, uninterested. The design was nice, so I just took a closer look. Be it a person or an item, I have no interest in stealing what someone else likes. Marcus frowned. Her words seemed to have a hidden meaning. A feeling of panic flashed through his mind. Emma ended up picking out another dress, and Marcus could only suppress the inexplicable emotion in his heart and follow her. In the end, at his suggestion, she chose a blue dress. As she stepped into the changing room, the screen of her phone suddenly lit up. A 7-day countdown message popped up. Marcus stared at the message, and a wave of panic washed over him. Again. Chapter 4. Just as he was about to pick up Emma's phone to check what the message was, the curtain of the locker room was suddenly drawn open, and Emma walked out. The dress, matched perfectly with the jewelry Marcus had specially prepared for her, added a bit of brilliance to Emma, who already looked stunning. Marcus instantly forgot about the countdown and stared at her in surprise. Emma, I'm so lucky to have you. In the past, being looked at by Marcus with such affection would have made her heart pound. But now, Emma looked away calmly, without a trace of emotion in her heart. Marcus leaned in to kiss her, but she avoided him calmly. Let's go, we're running late. Seeing her pick up the phone, Marcus remembered the message he had just seen. He frowned and asked, I saw a countdown reminder on your phone, 7 days left. What is that? Emma was stunned for a moment, and panic flashed across her eyes. She didn't want Marcus to find out that she planned to leave. The wedding is in 7 days. Have you forgotten about it? Being stared at by Emma's frank eyes, a trace of guilt flashed across Marcus's face. He quickly brushed it off. Before dinner started, the hall was already filled with guests. When everyone saw Marcus and Emma coming, people all gathered around them. The air-conditioned hall was a bit chilly, so Marcus draped the shawl he had prepared long ago over Emma's shoulders. Many women showed envy on their faces over that scene, while Marcus's friends and partners laughed and joked. Mr. Donovan, you really care a lot about Miss Caldwell. There can be no other couple like you two in Chicago. I will definitely be there to congratulate you at your wedding next week. I'm afraid no one in the whole of Chicago would love their fiancé like Mr. Donovan does. You're realizing that now? Mr. Donovan is the very model of a good man. Is there a woman in Chicago who doesn't envy Miss Caldwell for finding such a good man like him? The room was filled with praise for Emma and Marcus as a perfect match. Marcus smiled, his usual cold, distant air softened by the compliments. Even though he knew it was a deliberate show of goodwill, he still felt very touched and welcomed anyone who greeted him. Everyone found a way to get closer to Marcus, and they kept saying nice things to him. Emma felt a buzzing in her ears, making her dizzy. Moreover, she didn't want to hear these pleasantries from people who didn't know the truth. Marcus noticed her discomfort, so he led her away from the crowd to a quieter place. But the silence did not last long. Claire, who was wearing a dark-colored dress, came over swayingly. Mr. Donovan, Ms. Caldwell, long time no see. As a representative of the people whom the Donovan family sponsored over the years, Claire was naturally eligible to attend this charity gala. Not only that, she would also give a speech later. Emma didn't want to put up a show by greeting her, so she just pretended not to notice her and looked down at her phone. Claire took a step forward, her voice apologetic. Ms. Caldwell, are you still mad at me? I apologize for what happened last time. I was desperate, so I came up with the idea, asking Mr. Donovan to pretend to marry me. But he already rejected me, and I already have a boyfriend. How about we write off the past? Emma could not hear any sincerity in her words. They sounded like provocation to her instead. Marcus also noticed her boastful tone. He frowned and drove Claire away impatiently. Know your place. Emma doesn't like you. Stay away from her. Claire hummed softly like a spoiled child. She doesn't like me, but someone else does. She looked at Marcus and deliberately winked at him. His thoughts were scrambled, gulping as he picked up the wine in front of him and downed it. Emma looked at them, flirting as if no one were around. She then stood up and walked towards the restroom. Marcus quickly stood up and followed. Claire was then surrounded by people behind him. Claire, what a beautiful dress. Your earrings look nice too. She raised her chin proudly. Of course, these are all gifts from my boyfriend. The best, obviously. Her boasting attracted a burst of envious voices. Those earrings look like they're made from the same material as Miss Caldwell's jewelry. Your boyfriend maybe shopped at the same place as Mr. Donovan. Chapter 5. Emma paused as she left. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw the gold bracelet on her wrist. She took it off and held it tightly in her hand. The hard metal hurt her palm. When Marcus caught up, Emma had already turned into the restroom. Within 2 minutes, she heard the sound of his phone ringing outside, but it only rang once before it was quickly picked up. Wait for me in the garden. The next second, footsteps were heard again, gradually fading away. Emma had attended numerous dinners here and was very familiar with the layout. When she heard about the garden, she knew where Marcus was going. She left the restroom and walked around to the storeroom at the end of the hallway. Through a gap in the window, she saw Marcus hurrying over. Claire, who had been waiting there, flew into Marcus's arms. He didn't resist at all. He held her waist intimately, tightly as if he wanted to rub her into his own body. You're seducing me again. Have you forgotten so quickly about not being able to get out of bed a few days ago? For the past few days, he had been with Emma all the time. So she knew instantly which days he was talking about. The night they left the Donovan family's old house, Marcus did not return all night, staying out until morning. He came back with kiss marks and ambiguous scratches on his body. Claire held Marcus's waist and raised her head while still in his arms. Marcus stared at her for 2 seconds, lowered his head, and kissed her fiercely. The two hugged each other as they wiggled about. The sound of their lips entangling sounded particularly loud in the quiet little garden. Claire deliberately bit his mouth. Marcus suddenly pulled himself out of lust, wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth. Are you looking for trouble? I warned you not to leave any marks in obvious places. Emma will give me hell if she sees it. Claire was not afraid of his ferocious appearance at all, and deliberately rubbed her chest against him. Why don't you just make up an excuse for it? She won't doubt you. I prefer you being so fierce to me in bed. Did you like the maid outfit last time? Come to my place again tonight, okay? I have prepared new tricks this time. She rose onto her toes and whispered something in his ear. Marcus pursed his dry lips impatiently, pinched Claire's chin, and kissed her fiercely again. Emma stood behind the window, watching everything that happened through the crack. Her whole body went cold. Although she already knew that Marcus and Claire were together, she was shocked to see it with her own eyes. She felt as if someone had wrenched her heart. Emma held onto the window frame, almost losing her balance. By the time she calmed down and left the storeroom, Marcus had already left Claire and was looking for her. When he spotted Emma, he rushed toward her, forehead dotted with sweat. Where did you go just now? I was so worried when I couldn't find you. Emma's eyes deliberately locked onto the corner of his bitten lip. You were not there when I came out of the bathroom, so I went for a walk in the garden. What happened to your lip? Marcus suddenly became flustered. A layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead again. Which garden did you go to? Emma pulled up a mocking smile and turned away, no longer looking at him. It's the garden at the back. A lot of people are there. Why do you look so nervous? She saw him sigh in relief. No, I was just worried that I couldn't find you after you ran off on your own. Claire was standing on the stage at this moment, talking about the help the Donovan family had given her over the years. But her eyes were always looking over to Marcus. Marcus looked across the crowd at Claire on the stage, thinking about the gift she said she would give him later that night in the garden. His muscles tensed up, and when he unconsciously pursed his lips, the wound at the corner of his mouth was pulled open. Then, he remembered that he had not answered Emma's question. It must have been the weather. I got a blister on my lip, it was accidentally broken, but it's no big deal. Emma sneered inaudibly, turned around, and walked away. I'm tired, I'm going home. Marcus suddenly felt inexplicably flustered. He grabbed Emma's wrist tightly and said, "I'll tell my parents, and then I'll go back with you." A few minutes later, Marcus took Emma away from the dinner and headed towards the old house. "Mom said she wanted us to stay at the old house for one night. We will go back tomorrow." Emma did not protest. She returned to the house, washed up, and lay down on the bed. After days of physical and emotional exhaustion, she drifted into a light sleep. Beside her, she could hear the faint tapping of a phone screen and Marcus's quiet chuckle. After quite a while, there was a noise beside him. Marcus gently woke her up, kissed her lightly, and said, "Mom wants to talk to me. Call me if you need anything." Emma nodded and turned around, pretending to fall asleep again. After Marcus tiptoed away, Emma sat up. She heard the faint sound of footsteps heading toward the study. After a moment's hesitation, she quietly followed. There was light coming through the crack under the study door. Kate's voice, suppressed in anger, was heard. "How many times have I told you that Emma is a good girl? Now that you have her, you should have gotten rid of all the dirty women around you. Instead, you are tangled up with Claire, and you let other people find out about it. Have you ever thought about what would happen if someone told Emma about what you did? Marcus, you are an adult. I don't want to lecture you. But I can't watch you do something you will regret later just for the sake of excitement." Chapter 6. Kate's words crashed Emma down. She had known everything Marcus had done and helped him hide it. Everyone else in their circle also knew about Marcus and Claire. She naively thought that everyone was kept in the dark. It turned out that she was the only one who didn't know. If that's the case, what do their blessings mean? Were they just enjoying the show? She wondered. The voices in the study continued, but Emma could no longer hear what they were saying. She returned to the bedroom and crawled under the blanket, trying to keep herself warm. Emma fell into a trance and then drifted into a deep sleep. During the night, she noticed Marcus came back once, staring at her for a long time. After a while, his phone kept ringing. Shortly after a few rapid rings, he stood up, hesitated for 2 seconds before leaving. The next morning, Marcus didn't even come back. Kate pushed the breakfast prepared by the servants in front of Emma. The older woman looked at her lovingly and explained, "Marcus said that he had something to do with the company, so he left in a hurry early this morning. If you have nothing to do, you can stay with me here. It might help with the boredom." Looking at Kate's calm expression, Emma was stunned for a moment. If she hadn't heard her conversation with Marcus last night, if she didn't already know the older woman was aware of Marcus's affair, she would have really thought that her kindness was genuine. She laughed at herself in her heart, but her face looked calm and composed. There was less than a week left before she left. Emma didn't want to make her departure more difficult. "The wedding planner contacted me yesterday, and there are some things to confirm. Marcus and I have been preparing for this wedding for a long time. We hope everything goes perfectly. I will come visit you another day." Kate maintained her perfect smile and did not stop Emma. After breakfast, Emma left the Donovan family's old house and went to the wedding planning company. She did not lie. She did have something to do there today. Last week, when she'd asked to change the bride's name to Claire, she told the planners she would give them the updated materials for the replacement. Marcus had been with Emma all week, and she took advantage of Marcus's shower time to look through his computer and cell phone. That's when she found out that Marcus had not only gotten a marriage certificate with Claire, but they'd also taken wedding photos and planned a honeymoon. Emma had transferred the wedding and intimate photos from Marcus's devices to her own phone. She handed them to the staff at the wedding planning company and helped them update the remaining details. Once everything was done, Emma suddenly felt a void in her heart. But it was not as painful as she had imagined. After leaving the wedding planning company, she recalled the medical tests she had undergone some time ago. The results should be ready, so she drove to the hospital. When parking, she saw that Marcus's car was also in the parking lot outside the hospital. Before she could reach the reception to get her results, she saw Marcus and Claire walking out of the obstetrics and gynecology department. They were smiling. Marcus carefully stood behind Claire, looking like a newly married couple preparing for pregnancy. Emma thought her heart had long been numb, but she still felt a prick. When she saw them, Claire saw Emma first, who seemed to have appeared out of nowhere. She moved closer to Marcus and spoke deliberately. "Ms. Caldwell, I didn't expect to meet you in the hospital. Are you visiting the OB/GYN too? Is it because you are pregnant?" When he suddenly heard Emma's name, Marcus instinctively pulled his hand and looked up. He became nervous. A layer of cold sweat appeared on his forehead instantly. "Emma, why are you here?" "I'm here to get my test results," Emma replied coldly, her eyes meeting Claire's deliberate taunt. Marcus hurriedly walked up to her and explained in a panic. Emma, I met Claire on the way to the company. She was accidentally injured. Since she's someone our family has sponsored, I had to help her. When I arrived at the hospital, I found out that she was pregnant, so I sent her here for a checkup. Emma took a deep breath, causing the stabbing pain in her heart. Ms. Garrison was still worried about faking a marriage to comfort her mother a few months ago, and now she is pregnant. This is quite a surprise. Congratulations. Claire looked at Marcus with a loving gaze, which made him break out in cold sweat again. Thank you, Ms. Caldwell. I've been pregnant for more than 2 months twins. Last night, the baby's father was being rough and hurt me in bed, but it's not serious. He couldn't come as he had things to take care of. Fortunately, I met Mr. Donovan on the way. Since you're fine, I won't stay around any longer. Emma, have you gotten your report? I'll drive you home. Marcus interrupted Claire's chattering and stepped forward to hold Emma's hand. Emma pulled her gaze away from Claire and shook her head calmly. As if he were very worried about her and Claire being in the same space, Marcus quickly pulled her away. After receiving the test results, he quickly left the hospital. Emma was like a puppet, letting Marcus take her away. When they were together, she said that if Marcus betrayed her, she would make sure he would never be able to find her. She intended to keep this promise and also prepared a big gift for him on the wedding day. Chapter 7. On the way back, Marcus's phone screen kept flashing. When Emma wasn't paying attention, Marcus checked the message. It was a message from Claire. Marcus, what do you think is a good name for our child? Can you come over tonight and help me choose? Marcus tapped his fingers nervously and muttered a warning before he left. We'll talk about the name later. Don't say so many ambiguous things in front of Emma in the future, let her discover our affairs. You won't want to bear the consequences. Despite what he said, Emma could still see from Marcus's relaxed expression that he did not oppose Claire's pregnancy. After all, a long time ago, Marcus had mentioned that he really liked children. Emma noticed that her phone also lit up for a moment. She looked down and saw that it was a friend request from Claire. Knowing it was a deliberate provocation, Emma still clicked on accept. Just approved the friend request. Claire's message came instantly. Emma, aren't you curious about who the father of my child is? I refuse to believe that you could be so slow to react, not noticing Marcus's intimate attitude towards me at all. Emma looked at the message without replying. She already knew the answer in her heart. Not receiving a reply for a long time, Claire couldn't hold back and sent another message. This time it was a photo of Marcus and Claire's marriage certificate. Emma had seen it at Marcus's place before, and now, looking at it again, she no longer felt the shock and heartache she had felt at that time. Emma, I am the one who registered the marriage with Marcus. Even if you are going to have a wedding soon, I am his lawful and rightful wife. As long as I do not agree to a divorce, you will always be beneath me. Moreover, I now have his children, 2 of them, and we will never be separated. You still don't know how much he loves me. He spends almost every day with me and he has told many people about my existence. Do you feel pathetic? When others praise Marcus for being good to you, they are just mocking you. Do you still remember the dress I wore at the charity gala? It was custom made by Marcus at great expense for me. Do you treat me like this? He liked me more than you can imagine. Marcus would never like a boring woman like you. What he liked was someone like me who could be open in bed. Claire sent more photos of her and Marcus in bed again. Emma could only feel endless sarcasm as she looked at her flaunting attitude. What are you looking at so intently? Marcus suddenly spoke, pulling Emma out of her complex emotions. Emma turned off her phone, shook her head, and didn't say much more. Marcus looked at Emma's calm expression, feeling a sense of panic intensify within him at that moment, as if something was slowly slipping out of his grasp. He held Emma's hand in his palm, pressed tightly against his leg. Emma resisted in her heart, realizing she couldn't break free and just let Marcus do as he pleased, leaning back in her seat and closing her eyes to pretend to sleep. Sensing the soft touch of the palm no longer struggling, Marcus took a deep breath, and the feeling of panic in his heart finally disappeared. Over the next few days, Marcus made excuses about having some work to finish before the wedding and was not at home day and night. Emma did not deliberately inquire about Marcus's whereabouts, but Claire passed on the news about Marcus to her. Marcus lied about being busy with work, when in fact he was just going to spend time with Claire. They went shopping together at the mother and baby store, buying baby supplies for the 2 children whose genders were still unknown. Claire took a picture of Marcus seriously naming the 2 children, as well as a photo of Marcus lying on her belly. Emma, these days Marcus has been here with me. He must have told you that he is busy with work. I feel a little sorry that you can't see with your own eyes how much he cares for me and the children. You said, on the day of the wedding, would he run away with me and the child? Emma did not respond to her provocation. On the day of the wedding, someone did try to run away, but it wasn't Marcus, it was her. Chapter 8. During the days when Marcus was not at home, Emma found it convenient. She cleared out all her belongings from the house. She bought a small apartment in Chicago without telling anyone, using it as a temporary place to store her things. The memories inside the house, belonging to her and Marcus, slowly faded away. The night before the wedding, Marcus suddenly returned home, holding a somewhat familiar photo in his hand. At that moment, Emma was cleaning up the last few things that belonged to her. Looking at the empty house, Marcus almost thought he had walked into the wrong door. When he saw Emma in the living room, her face covered in dust like a little kitten, he felt a sense of relief. Why did I make myself look so miserable? How did so many things go missing from the house? Emma didn't expect Marcus to suddenly come back, so she hesitated unconsciously when she heard the question. Fortunately, in these days, she had already mastered the skill of lying without showing any emotions. Cleaned out some unwanted clutter, will purchase new items after the wedding. Marcus obviously misunderstood Emma's meaning, but Emma did not bother to explain further. He had a gentle smile on his face as he pulled Emma to sit beside him and handed her the photo in his hand. I had the repairman fix the first photo of us together after we got together. Take a look and see if it looks exactly the same as before. Emma took the brand new photo. Under the blooming cherry blossoms, she looked at the camera with a smile in her eyes, while Marcus looked at her profile in the picture. This was their first official photo together after she agreed to be with Marcus. Just recently, the photo that was displayed in Marcus's office was torn to shreds by Claire's dog. Since the original photo was long gone, there was no way to print another one. This was not something Marcus told her, but something Claire mentioned on purpose when she was showing off Marcus's favoritism towards her to Emma. Now, the photo has been taken by Marcus to be repaired. However, while the photo can be fixed, the emotions can never go back to the past. Emma said in a flat tone, I suddenly feel like eating the pasta you made, let's have dinner together tonight. When she was rescued initially, Emma, who had endured several days of hunger, devoured 2 bowls of pasta. Marcus personally went to a small restaurant to learn the skills for a month in order to make pasta with the exact same taste that she liked to eat at any time. Just treat it as drawing a complete period to the relationship between her and Marcus. Marcus raised his hand and rubbed her head, agreeing without hesitation. Just as 2 bowls of pasta were placed on the table, Marcus's phone started ringing. Marcus's expression changed from relaxed to serious. After hanging up the phone, he looked at Emma with a mixture of conflict and apology in his eyes. The words had not been spoken, but he already had the answer in his heart. Emma, there is a sudden emergency at the company. Emma lowered her head and stirred the pasta in her bowl, trying to force a smile but couldn't manage it. The matters at the company are important, you should go and attend to them. We will have plenty of time in the future. Marcus hugged her tightly and said, Emma, thank you for understanding me. Emma smiled, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. Emma, I might be busy until late today, so you don't have to wait for me. I am really looking forward to seeing you in your wedding dress tomorrow. Emma was held in his arms, answering in a muffled voice, I'm looking forward to it too. Looking forward to seeing his reaction after he found out the bride had been replaced, wondering if he will be very surprised. After Marcus left, Emma immediately received a message from Claire. Emma, the night before your wedding, he was with me the whole time. Why do you think you can compete with me? Claire was not surprised that Emma didn't reply to her messages, but she kept sending them, each one harsher and piercing than the last. Emma turned off her phone and looked at the delicious pasta in front of her, but she had no appetite. It turns out that not only emotions can change, but also people's habits and tastes can easily change. She tore the photo that Marcus brought back between them, leaving only half of Marcus in the picture. After doing this, she took a relaxing hot bath and quickly fell asleep in bed. After a good night's sleep, Emma woke up before 7 o'clock the next morning. Looking at the train departure time reminder on her phone, as well as the information that her parcel was currently in transit within the same city, Emma packed up her luggage in a good mood. Her things had already been sent out several days ago, and the remaining items are what she will need for the next period of time. Having packed up everything, Emma left the place that had once been her home without looking back. At that moment, Marcus suddenly woke up from Claire's bed. He pressed his chest, feeling the growing sense of panic inside him. Glancing at the time, Marcus quickly got up and dressed. Last night he received a call from Claire, who was crying and saying that she had accidentally fallen and hurt her stomach. When he arrived, he realized that it was just a trick played by Claire to compete for attention. But under Claire's insistence, he stayed. Marcus left Claire's place early that morning, heart light, humming a tune. Today was the day, their day. He pictured Emma in white, walking down the aisle toward him, smiling with teary eyes, ready to be his forever. Unable to contain his excitement, he texted her, "Emma, I can't wait to see you at the altar." Seconds later, her reply came, "I hope you'll love the surprise I prepared for you right at the beginning of the wedding." A playful tease, he thought. He smiled, foolishly, blissfully. At the venue, the atmosphere was magical. The string quartet played their soft prelude, the guests whispered praises about how devoted Marcus had been to Emma. Marcus stood at the altar, eyes fixed on the entrance. And then the bride appeared. White veil, elegant figure, slowly walking toward him under a rain of flower petals. Marcus's heart pounded with joy. This is it. He reached out, took her hand, and said gently, "Emma, I vow to love and protect you for the rest of my life. Will you marry me?" Under the gaze of everyone, the bride with a veil on her head nodded heavily. With a beaming smile, Marcus lifted the veil and froze. Standing in front of him, wearing Emma's dress, Emma's ring was Claire. Marcus took a full step back, his voice trembling with horror. "How is it, you?" Chapter 9. Claire cried out in pain, wanting to be puzzled as she spoke. "Marcus, what a hand back, and pretended to you talking about? We already have our marriage certificate. I should be the bride, everyone is watching. Please stop messing around." Marcus, however, seemed to not hear her deliberate reminder, his gaze drawn to the wedding ring on Claire's ring finger. The ring, originally belonging to Emma, was now worn on Claire's hand. Marcus grabbed Claire's hand and forcibly took the wedding ring off her finger. Emma's fingers were thinner, and her ring was on Claire's hand. In just a moment, it had already left red marks on Claire's fingers. Today's wedding was attended by the elite of Chicago. As they watched the scene unfold, whispers could be heard among the audience. Kate received a signal from Marcus's father, Gavin Donovan, and got up to walk towards Marcus. "Marcus, calm down first. Whatever it is, we can talk about it after the wedding." Everyone advised him to calm down first, but Marcus felt like he was going crazy now, his heart racing and his body trembling uncontrollably. At that moment, he finally noticed that the large screen behind him was scrolling through photos, but they were not of him and Emma in their wedding attire. Instead, they were of him and Claire. This set of wedding photos was taken after he agreed to register with Claire. Claire kept pestering him to take them. As one photo after another flashed by, Marcus suddenly remembered the last message Emma had sent him. "I hope you liked the surprise I prepared for you at the beginning of the wedding?" Marcus's heart suddenly trembled, and the tightly stretched string snapped completely. Emma's words coincided with the current scene, and he finally understood what surprise Emma was talking about. Claire approached him, carefully taking his hand, her tone full of appeasement. "Marcus, Emma has run away, but you still have me and the children. Let's go ahead with the wedding first. Get out." Marcus's tense emotions suddenly collapsed at this moment, and he roared to stop Claire from speaking. The next second, the raised palm landed heavily on Claire's face, making her dizzy. In an instant, a swollen red handprint appeared on Claire's face. "What nonsense are you talking about? I loved Emma so much, how could she have run away from the wedding for no reason? Did you say something to her? What are you even doing here? This is mine and Emma's wedding. Even if she didn't show up, you have no right to be standing here." Claire's ears were buzzing, she couldn't hear what Marcus was saying at all. Marcus's slap just now was extremely powerful. The scene in front of Claire became blurry as she stumbled and fell from the nearly 1-meter-high platform. A deep red flower bloomed on her pristine wedding dress. My child must not have any accidents. Marcus, my stomach hurts so much." The wedding scene was chaotic, but Marcus couldn't care less. He was now being driven crazy by the thoughts swirling in his mind. Claire said Emma had run away from her wedding, but he didn't believe those words. In the chaos, he went against everyone and rushed out of the wedding venue, quickly driving home. "Emma, you must be joking with me, right? You must have been at home waiting for me to come back and pick you up." Originally a 1-hour journey, Marcus arrived at the destination in just half an hour. When he opened the door, he only saw an empty room, nothing else. Marcus rushed in and searched every room, turned over every corner, but unfortunately did not find Emma's figure. Emma, please don't joke with me, we still have a wedding to hold." Marcus shouted Emma's name over and over again, his hope disappearing completely with each empty cry. Just now he noticed that all of Emma's belongings in the house were gone. Their couple items, the photos hanging on the wall, the gifts exchanged on various anniversaries, and all traces of Emma's existence in their life had disappeared. He had already noticed something was wrong when he came back last night, but he didn't pay attention to it. On the living room dining table, the 2 bowls of pasta he made by himself last night were still sitting there untouched. The first official photo of him and Emma together was casually thrown on the table. The photo had already been torn in half, leaving only Marcus himself in the picture. Marcus felt that his heart was torn apart just like the photo, with blood dripping. At that moment, Marcus finally realized that Emma had truly left him. Chapter 10. Marcus racked his brain but couldn't figure out the reason why Emma suddenly left him. The phone rang, and Marcus was so excited that his hands were shaking, he could barely hold the phone. When he finally held the phone in his hand, thinking joyfully that it was a call from Emma, he saw Kate's name flashing on the screen. Marcus's breath caught in his throat, the roller coaster of emotions leaving him feeling dizzy. The phone was answered, and Kate's angry voice came through. "Why didn't you tell us in advance that Claire was pregnant, and when did you two get married, Marcus?" Her lowly seduction tactics, I refuse to believe you couldn't see through them. "Did you find Emma?" Marcus had already shouted himself hoarse, just his voice so hoarse that he could barely speak. After a moment, he finally said in a daze, "Emma is missing." Kate's voice came through the phone, full of frustration. "She is so unforgiving, no wonder she insisted on me giving her the bracelet on our wedding day. She must have found out about you and Claire." After that, Kate said something else, but Marcus couldn't hear a word. In his mind, there was only one sentence echoing endlessly: "She found out about you and Claire." Marcus suddenly remembered the day when Emma warned him about pursuing her. "Marcus, I can only accept unconditional love. If you no longer love me, we can part ways amicably. But if you betray me, I will make sure you never find me again." Kate's recent guesses and Emma's past words kept repeating in Marcus's mind, almost driving him crazy. Emma left him because she found out about what was going on between him and Claire. After calming down and thinking deeply, Marcus realized that there were flaws everywhere between him and Claire. Emma discovered his betrayal, so things have been getting stranger lately. During this time, he has been focusing more on Claire. Even though he noticed Emma's subtle change in mood, he didn't pay it any mind. Originally, everything had already left clues, and he arrogantly believed that he could control the situation. Marcus couldn't stop the dull pain in his heart, and the feeling of guilt was almost overwhelming him. But no matter what, he had to find Emma. Between them, he couldn't consider it a real separation until he said goodbye. Marcus gathered his spirits and called Emma's phone. Unfortunately, time and time again, there was no answer. Marcus found Emma's WhatsApp again from the pinned chats on WhatsApp. As soon as he sent a message, he saw a glaring red exclamation mark. Emma had blocked him on all of his contact information. Marcus looked at his phone in frustration, feeling almost driven to madness. Even if Emma left, where could she go? Her father, Kaysen Caldwell, had already remarried and had a new child. When her mother, Eliana Perkins, passed away, Emma was deceived by Kaysen's new wife and almost came to harm in a remote village. After being rescued, the relationship between father and daughter became extremely cold, and Emma never went to see Kaysen. Marcus spent a lot of effort to find the contact information of Emma's friends. But almost everyone he called was shocked and asked, "Isn't it your wedding today? How could she be with me at this time?" Just as the newly risen hope was shattered once again, Marcus felt himself being consumed by despair. It wasn't until he dialed Emma's best friend Estrella's number. Upon hearing Marcus's voice and his purpose for calling, Estrella immediately scoffed and spoke. "Looking for Emma? Marcus, stop dreaming. A scumbag like you doesn't deserve to see her again. Where she went, you have no right to know." Marcus didn't pay attention to Estrella's sarcasm. Hope reignited in his heart as he tightly gripped his phone and spoke rapidly. "Do you know where Emma is? Tell me, I can agree to any conditions you have. I can give you money." The words had not finished when Estrella interrupted. "2 measly coins, Marcus, what's so great about that? Your money is useless to me. Your confession," even the dog shook its head when it heard it. Marcus didn't even notice that the phone had been hung up. He kept apologizing. "I really know I was wrong, and I won't touch any woman except Emma. Please tell me, where is Emma?" Marcus found the call had been disconnected. When he called Estrella back, he realized he had been blocked again. Marcus went crazy, roaring and pounding the ground. His flesh split open, leaving a large bloodstain on the ground. He tortured himself repeatedly as if he didn't feel any pain. Chapter 11. After some time had passed, the sound of the door opening rang out again. In just half a day, Marcus had already experienced countless feelings of despair, but he couldn't help but hope that the person opening the door would be Emma. Seeing the person coming in was Kate, he was once again engulfed by despair, and his straight shoulders suddenly collapsed. Kate saw him and was both heartbroken and angry to see him torturing himself like this for a while. I had reminded you repeatedly in the past to break up with Claire, but you didn't listen. Now you are torturing yourself like this. Marcus didn't know how to answer the question. He thought he could balance well between Emma and Claire at first, but he forgot that there is no wall that is not ventilated in the world. He regretted it, really regretted it. He thought everything was seamless, especially since he didn't change his mind, he was just playing with Claire, he thought there would be no problem. Kate kept on chattering. Clarice's child was saved, she is indeed of the Donovan family bloodline. Your father and I decided to keep her for now. Since Emma decided to leave without telling you, it means there is no turning back. You and Claire got married, she is carrying your child, so don't look for Emma anymore. No way, Marcus retorted, his emotions running high as he snatched the phone from Kate's hand. I won't give up on finding her. She just blocked me, she definitely wouldn't block you. The phone rang for a long time before the call was finally answered, and Emma's ethereal voice came through on the other end. Hello? Marcus was so excited that he was shaking all over, and the blood on his hands wet Kate's phone. His hoarse voice trembled, Emma, it's me. As his voice rang out, the phone was quickly hung up. Marcus was furious and suddenly coughed twice before spitting out a mouthful of blood, which frightened Kate beside him. Emma, you have a cruel heart? Marcus's shoulders trembled, and tears flowed uncontrollably. It took him quite a while to calm down. Feeling Emma's determined attitude, Marcus knew that even if he called again, he would either be hung up on or blocked. Persisting in doing such a useless thing was meaningless. Marcus remembered the phone call he had just made to Estrella, and he was sure that Estrella knew where Emma was. He ignored Kate's worried look and made a phone call to his assistant. Lucian, you sent someone to follow Estrella. If there is any news related to Emma, it must be brought to me immediately. Also, please investigate all flights and trains that departed from Chicago today. If there is any news, please inform me immediately. One after another, orders were given, and Marcus did not give himself a moment to catch his breath. Only when he was busy would he not be constantly tormented by pain. Kate hesitated several times before finally speaking out the advice she was trying to give Marcus to let go. Marcus, the world is so big. Emma was determined to leave, what could you do to find her? The things that happened at the wedding today were seen by so many people, and now the news about you has already spread throughout Chicago. This could not only affect you, but even the entire Donovan group may not be spared. The best solution now is for you to come forward with Claire to clarify the situation, with the support of a public relations team. Marcus interrupted Kate, who was about to continue speaking, and rebutted in a tone that brooked no argument. Mom, you don't need to persuade me anymore, I have to find Emma no matter what. As long as she can come back, I am willing to accept even if she hits me or scolds me. But giving up on finding her like this is undoubtedly asking for my life. So, no matter what, even if he had to search high and low, he was determined to find Emma. After speaking, Marcus didn't even bother to clean the bloodstains on his hands and mouth, and left home for the company. Back then, those scandalous incidents involving Marcus were spreading more and more widely, but at this moment he had no time to spare for them. There were so many vehicles and planes coming and going in Chicago every day that Assistant Lucian Blake was able to obtain all the flights and train journeys that departed from Chicago on the day of the wedding. After investigating for many days, Marcus finally discovered that Emma had bought tickets to more than 10 cities in America and 6 countries. Abroad on that day, Marcus looked at nearly 20 locations on the table, a hint of a bitter smile on his lips. Emma was determined not to be found. Even though he understood this, Marcus couldn't truly give up on Emma. Marcus systematically eliminated incorrect answers one by one, but it was like searching for a needle in a haystack. Once again, he found himself sinking into despair. Since the day of the wedding until now, a full 5 days have passed. He has slept for less than 5 hours in total, spending the rest of the time investigating Emma's whereabouts, but to no avail. On the 6th day, Marcus fainted on the spot while briefing Lucian about the matter due to exhaustion. Chapter 12. Marcus woke up after being in a coma for a whole day and night, only to find himself lying in a hospital bed. He removed the IV from his hand and was about to leave, but he was stopped as soon as he got out of bed. Marcus, Mom said you haven't rested for several days. You should take care of yourself before leaving, or I will worry. Marcus only just noticed that Claire was also in this hospital room. His face instantly turned cold, and he forcefully pushed Claire's hand away. Recognize your identity, can you also call me Mom? Claire carefully caressed her already showing baby bump, her tone unable to hide her excitement. We got married and had children. So many people witnessed our wedding. My mom has accepted my identity. Yesterday, she helped me choose names for the 2 children. Marcus, which 2 names do you like? In Marcus's mind, the rational thread snapped instantly, and he grabbed Claire's neck, squeezing it tightly with his fingers. Claire's face slowly turned from white to red and then to purple, as she struggled continuously, a terrible thought rising in her mind. Marcus seemed to really want to kill her. Kate came in and was so scared that she screamed out loud when she saw the scene. Marcus finally regained some sanity, his grip suddenly loosened, and he looked down at Claire with only fear in her eyes, questioning her word by word. On the day of the wedding, why was it you who came out, and how did you manage to get Emma's wedding ring? These days, Marcus was filled with searching for Emma's whereabouts, and he didn't have time to think about anything else. Seeing Claire again, a series of questions arose one after another. Claire was so scared that she was shaking like a sieve, and she dared not hide anything as she recounted what had happened on the day of the wedding when Marcus left her. Not long after you left, I received a package. Inside the package were the wedding rings. As for the wedding dress, I was informed by the wedding planning company to go to the wedding venue. I just wanted to replace Emma and marry you at that time, so I went, without thinking too much. Claire regained her freedom and crawled behind Kate. Marcus directly contacted the person in charge of the wedding planning company, his eyes fixed firmly on Claire. If I find out that you were lying to me, I will definitely not spare you. A few minutes later, Marcus learned that half a month before the wedding, Emma had already requested to change the bride at the wedding planning company. The doubts lingering in Marcus's mind finally had an answer. It was just this answer that suddenly caused a sharp pain in Marcus's heart. Long before, Emma had already been preparing to leave him. Marcus fell to his knees on the ground, not understanding why Emma could be so heartless, saying she would just leave. Was the years of relationship between them really so insignificant in Emma's eyes? But if he had not succumbed to Claire's temptation and betrayed Emma first, Emma would not have had the heart to leave him. Marcus slapped himself in the face twice, but his feelings of regret did not diminish in the slightest. The sudden ringing of the phone interrupted Marcus's self-blame, and Lucian's voice came through the phone. Mr. Donovan received information about Ms. Caldwell from Ms. Bennett. Marcus's eyes suddenly lit up. Quick, speak. The person tracking Ms. Bennett from a distance captured her chatting with Ms. Caldwell, and by examining the background of the photos, it was determined that Ms. Caldwell should now be in Aspen, Colorado. The next second, a blurry photo was sent to Marcus's phone. Even though the photo was so blurry that it was almost impossible to see the face clearly, Marcus still recognized the person in the photo as Emma at a glance. He stared at the photo almost obsessively. Book me the fastest flight to Aspen immediately, I need to go find Emma. 3 hours later, Marcus boarded the plane to Aspen. After a flight of over 5 hours, the plane landed in Aspen, and Marcus went straight to the location of the picture background. After inquiring, Marcus finally made his way to the guest house where Emma had been staying during this time. When he asked the shopkeeper about Emma's whereabouts while holding her photo, he found out that Emma had just left not long ago. Marcus stood still in place, a brief buzzing sound ringing in his ears. No one knew better than him the reason why Emma had left in such a hurry. Emma must have known about his arrival here, that's why she left in such a hurry. Marcus stood in the room where Emma had stayed before she left, the scent that belonged to Emma still lingering in the air. Marcus found a hairpin left behind by Emma in the bathroom, and he placed it in the pocket of his shirt, close to his heart, and held it tightly. Inside, there was also a photo of Emma, and Marcus could only find a moment of peace each day when he looked at that photo. During the time Emma was away, he took out those photos that had been saved in his phone, washed them, and then stuck them on the wall one by one according to the positions he remembered. There were also those couple items and clothes matching Emma's that Marcus bought back one by one. Only in this way, Marcus would feel that Emma did not really leave him completely, but just went on a trip and might come back one day. Marcus followed suit and sent Lucian to the train station and airport to investigate Emma's whereabouts. But this is not Chicago. Lucian was almost mistaken for a dangerous criminal and nothing was found out. Chapter 13. Marcus returned to Chicago again, 2 days later. Emma had obviously left Aspen. Even if he stayed there, it would be of no use. It would be better to return to Chicago, where the Donovan family's roots were. He would be more adept at finding out any information he wanted. He resorted to his old tricks and had someone follow Estrella, trying to get information about Emma again. Estrella had already noticed that the information Emma received was from her. Marcus, unable to get any information about Emma from her, began to inquire around. He contacted everyone who knew Emma, leaving no stone unturned for any information. The situation escalated as more and more people contacted Emma to inquire about her whereabouts. From the people she had contacted, Emma finally pieced together the reason behind the incident. All of this was caused by Marcus trying to find her. Faced with people trying to track her down, Emma always had only one response: no comment. But those people were not deterred by her cold face, instead becoming more and more curious about what had happened between them. Unable to bear it any longer, Emma unblocked Marcus. Later, Emma sent all the evidence she had gathered of Marcus cheating on Claire. This includes the marriage certificate photo seen in Marcus's pocket, intimate photos of the two of them in Marcus's computer, and evidence of their honeymoon. Even after discovering Claire's pregnancy in the hospital, all of the provocative messages she sent to her were still being sent. After finishing all this, Emma took a deep breath and bid farewell to the quaint town where she had been vacationing for a few days. She boarded a plane bound for Paris, France. What Emma didn't know was that, as she boarded the plane and switched her phone to airplane mode, Marcus saw the messages she sent and almost blew up her phone. After more than 10 hours, Emma landed in Paris and saw countless messages and missed calls on WhatsApp. Without exception, all of these messages and missed calls came from Marcus. Emma opened the chat page and saw a screen full of apologies and pleas for her forgiveness. Emma, you finally contacted me. Did you forgive me? I did something that hurt you, but now I realize my mistake. I am willing to spend the rest of my life making it up to you, as long as you are willing to come back to me. Emma guessed that Marcus hadn't even opened her messages when he was sending those messages. Otherwise, she couldn't imagine how anyone could be as shameless as Marcus. I never received her reply. The messages, one by one, gradually turned into long essays. Emma didn't even have the patience to continue reading. The messages she sent to Marcus were not to tell him how angry she was. Instead, she wanted to tell Marcus that she had already known everything and would not forgive him in any way, and also hoped that Marcus would not bother her anymore. Marcus clearly misunderstood, or perhaps pretended not to understand her intentions, as he continued to seek her forgiveness. Looking at those messages, Emma couldn't help but feel ironic. When she was wholeheartedly with Marcus at first, Marcus didn't care and got involved with Claire. Marcus may have understood the consequences after the truth was revealed, but he still found himself unable to extricate himself from Claire's tender embrace. She even gave Marcus the opportunity to confess everything. As long as Marcus told her, they could part on good terms, but Marcus didn't, even keeping her in the dark as if she were a fool. Going back to a dozen hours ago, when Marcus received a message from Emma, he almost thought he was hallucinating. Marcus stared at the information for over a minute before suddenly realizing that he wasn't dreaming. He didn't even have time to open and see what Emma had sent him, full of hope that Emma might forgive him, so she took the initiative to send him a message. Marcus also gradually detached himself from the initial joy as several messages he sent went unanswered, and his heart was gradually consumed by anxiety. Marcus waited with his phone for an hour, 2 hours. From dawn until dusk, he still did not receive a reply from Emma. The phone slipped from his stiff hands and fell to the ground, the screen shattering into pieces. Marcus picked up his phone and finally found the message from Emma, opening it. When he saw those messages, Marcus's breath caught, and an indescribable pain rose in his heart. Immediately, this sense of pain turned into intense anger. Since the day Emma bumped into him and Claire coming out of the maternity ward at the hospital, Claire has been exposing their secret relationship to Emma. Marcus looked at the things he had done for Claire in the past, now being used by Claire as a blade against Emma, and felt a pain so intense that he could barely breathe. Marcus finally realized that he had done so much harm to Emma. Marcus couldn't imagine how Emma, knowing all of this, had managed to endure the last half-month with him. In all honesty, if these things had been done by Emma to another man, Marcus felt he would have probably gone crazy long ago. He clearly loved Emma so much back then, but why did it come to this point now? Thinking of something, Marcus's gaze suddenly turned cold. If Claire hadn't intentionally seduced him, he wouldn't have done so much harm to Emma. Now Emma is missing, and Claire, the culprit, has no right to enjoy all this with a clear conscience. Emma, I will make it up to you. No matter who made you unhappy, I will not let her get away with it. Marius muttered to himself and quickly left home for the villa where Claire lived. Chapter 14. During this time, Marcus had been busy looking for Emma, completely forgetting about Claire. He had walked this road countless times. On countless nights when Emma had not yet left him, he would go to find Claire after Emma fell asleep. There was just never a time when it hurt as much as it does now. If he had known the consequences, he would never have done anything to hurt Emma. Thinking about these things now can't change the fact that Emma has already left. All he can do is to seek revenge for Emma. Half an hour later, Marcus arrived outside the villa. The lights inside the villa were still on. Marcus rang the doorbell, and soon the maid opened the door. Mr. Donovan and Ms. Garrison were taking a shower at the moment. Before the nanny finished speaking, Marcus strode in. When I reached the corner of the stairs on the second floor, I heard a noise and Claire came out wrapped in a towel. When Marcus arrived, Claire's eyes lit up with joy. She intentionally loosened the towel wrapped around her body, causing it to slide down, partially covering her in a hint of spring. Marcus, why did you come so late? Claire directly reached out and grabbed Marcus's hand, her fingers continuously tracing circles in his palm. Marcus looked down at their intertwined hands and remembered the countless times he had resisted the temptation to have a relationship with Claire, wishing he could just tear her apart on the spot. As Kate said, Claire's lowly means of seduction couldn't fool Marcus's eyes at all. But the increasingly dull relationship between him and Emma made him want to seek some excitement. So, under Claire's seduction, Marcus pretended to hesitate and had a relationship with Claire. The first time, he still felt guilty and didn't know how to face Emma. Emma trusted him too much, time and time again, until she was completely betrayed. Marcus's gaze suddenly turned cold. He had no intention of flirting with Claire, and he looked at her with icy eyes. Claire, I warned you not to expose our relationship in front of Emma. Claire's happy expression froze on her face in an instant, and the fear in her eyes was exposed to Marcus, looking particularly ridiculous. In the midst of the scorching summer season, Claire felt a shiver run down her spine. Marcus has experienced firsthand twice the kind of madness that Claire went through in order for Emma to have it, and she does not want to go through it a third time. Claire tried to look innocent and harmless. She couldn't let Marcus know that she had sent those messages to Emma. Luckily, she had already deleted the chat history. Claire struggled to steady her trembling body and spoke calmly. Marcus, what are you talking about? I never contacted Emma. Whatever happened between us, she must have heard it from someone else. Marcus grabbed Claire's wrist and snatched her phone away. Open WhatsApp and don't say those provocative words that he has already seen. Claire doesn't even have Emma as a friend in her contacts. Claire calmly took back her phone, but her voice couldn't help but tremble as she spoke. You see, I already said it, how could I possibly? Marcus sneered and interrupted Claire's explanation, grabbing her wrist and lifting her up. Claire, do you think I will believe you just by explaining a few words casually? If there was no evidence, how could I possibly come to you at this time? Marcus threw the chat records that Emma forwarded to him in front of Claire. Claire's face turned pale in an instant. Her whole body was only able to touch the ground with the tips of her toes, with the stairs behind her. If Marcus let go, she would roll down. Tears instantly welled up in her eyes as Claire choked out a plea for mercy. Marcus, you had me stand up first. I was still carrying your child. I didn't mean to say those words, I was just jealous of Emma. I don't want to see you marry someone else, but it's all because I love you too much, Marcus. Can you forgive me this time? Claire tightly grasped Marcus's wrist with the hand that wasn't caught, fearing that Marcus would let go without a care in the world. Marcus remained impassive, staring at Claire's desperate pleas as if he were looking at a dead person. Why can't you just enjoy what you have? But you had to be so greedy, wanting to push Emma out and take her place. Well, you were destined to get nothing. In Claire's shocked gaze, Marcus lifted his other hand and covered Claire's tightly gripping hand, prying open her fingers one by one. Emma is gone, so why should I bear your child again? Claire was so scared that her lips were trembling, and the nanny who had just opened the door was already terrified. Claire noticed her and quickly shouted, Quick, call Madame Donovan. Marcus, the child I am carrying was confirmed by your own parents, you cannot treat me like this. Claire's threat had no effect, her fingers pried open one by one. Where Marcus pushed her hard, watching coldly as Claire tumbled down the stairs. Claire felt that the half-minute of rolling down the stairs was particularly long, even though she tried to protect her stomach with her hands. By the time her body finally stopped rolling, the stairs and her body were already covered in blood. Unlike the simple pain and bleeding on the day of the wedding, this time, the feeling of two lives passing away in her body made Claire collapse on the spot. She screamed loudly, her whole body like a madwoman constantly muttering about the child. Claire looked up and saw Marcus standing calmly above the stairs, noticing that there was no trace of pity in his eyes. In a fleeting moment of sanity, Claire was consumed by hatred. "Marcus, you were just a coward. Emma disappeared, and you just shifted all the blame onto me, but what did I do wrong? Before I sent those messages to her, she already knew about your affair. In the end, it's because you can't control your lower body. Saying that you love Emma more than your own life is just a joke. No wonder she even wanted to replace me as the bride when she left. She did it just to get back at you. But you killed our child with your own hands, Marcus, you will get nothing." Chapter 15. Claire quickly passed out due to excessive blood loss. Marcus always looked on coldly, without a hint of pity. The only moment of vulnerability came when Claire exposed his most genuine thoughts. He had long known from the messages Emma sent him that Emma knew about his cheating before Claire provoked him. It was only his mistake, he would apologize to Emma in person. Claire, the culprit, had no right to shirk responsibility. The nanny nervously made a phone call, and soon after, Kate and the ambulance arrived at the villa one after the other. Gavin, who came along with us, was also there. When he saw the bloodstains all over the villa, he got so angry that he slapped Marcus directly in the face. "You scoundrel, causing so many jokes recently is not enough, now you even want to harm Claire to the point of death." Half of Marcus's face swelled up instantly, but he didn't regret what he had just done at all. She, a woman who was kept, had no right to compete with Emma for a position. This was the punishment she deserved. He only wanted to have children with Emma, no one else was qualified. "Emma must have been angry that I let Claire get pregnant before leaving me. Now that the child is gone, she must have calmed down." Gavin and Kate looked at him with a stubborn look, so angry that their eyes almost blacked out, and they almost fainted on the spot. In the end, Marcus was forcibly taken to the hospital by Kate. Before leaving, Kate had warned the nanny who witnessed everything that just happened, ordering her not to speak about what she saw. But the residents of this villa area are all prominent figures in Chicago, so it is difficult to guarantee that what just happened has not been noticed by someone with ill intentions. Moreover, the events that happened tonight, including the most challenging one with Claire, have not been resolved. Any mistake in any of these things would deal a devastating blow to the Donovan group, which was already treading on thin ice during that time. When they arrived at the hospital, they learned that neither of Claire's two children had survived. And because of the excessive blood loss and potential damage that could occur during the removal of the fetus, Claire may never be able to have her own children. Claire woke up to the news and immediately broke down, screaming that she needed to call the police. Kate persuaded her for a long time before she finally calmed down. Marcus was impatient and left the hospital in less than half an hour. As for Kate, whether she stayed there by coercion or enticement, he didn't care. He now only wanted to find Emma as soon as possible, confess in front of Emma, and tell Emma how much he missed her. Marcus returned to the cold house once again, which had already been restored to the way it was before Emma left, but without any trace of Emma's presence. He mechanically prepared 2 bowls of pasta and placed them where Emma had left them the night before she left. Then he took out the wine and sat down on the other side of the table. "Emma, I made the pasta you used to love, and today I even scolded Claire for you. She lost the baby she was carrying. But when will you forgive me? When can you come back to me?" Marcus seemed to be numb, pouring bottle after bottle of alcohol into his stomach. He tried to numb himself by drinking, maybe that way he wouldn't have to endure the pain anymore. Marcus took out his broken and barely recognizable phone screen, opened the chat page with Emma, and looked at the messages they had once sent to each other one by one. How nice it would have been if nothing had changed. Marcus looked up and remembered the messages that Emma had sent him. There were many intimate photos of him and Claire, and Emma, who saw them at that time, must have been so heartbroken. Marcus's breathing paused, and he suddenly covered his chest, struggling to breathe. Since Emma left, he hasn't had a good night's sleep except for that one time when he passed out. Although the house had been rearranged to look as if Emma had never left, it was ultimately fake. Chapter 16. When Marcus woke up groggily, it was already the afternoon of the next day. There were 2 bowls of pasta on the table that had been sitting together for a long time, and the floor was littered with knocked-over wine bottles. It is now midsummer, and the pasta left out overnight has fermented along with the strong smell of alcohol, making it particularly unpleasant. Marcus, however, seemed to be completely oblivious, blending into the terrible environment of the room. Day after day passed like a zombie. Marcus never received any news about Emma again. Kate didn't know what she had promised Claire, and she fell silent after constantly threatening to call the police. Only in Chicago, Marcus and the Donovan family's reputation took a nosedive. Kate couldn't bear it anymore. After multiple failed attempts to persuade Marcus to cheer up, she finally took him to see a psychologist for treatment. Marcus did not cooperate with the treatment at all, and the effect was minimal. Marcus, who used to be very restrained with smoking and drinking, has completely developed a smoking and drinking addiction in the months since Emma left. He tried to numb himself in this way, to forget everything. But only Marcus himself knew that doing so was futile. Besides that, Marcus couldn't think of a better way. Emma, you used to hate it when I smoked and drank, why didn't you show up to stop me? I miss you so much, please come back soon. Marcus kept pouring himself drinks, because he had been drinking excessively and not resting properly for too long. He felt like he was starting to have hallucinations. Otherwise, why would Emma suddenly appear in front of him? The person in front of him walked closer and closer, stopping 3 steps away from Marcus. Emma complained in a coquettish tone, Marcus, why did you drink so much alcohol? If you continue like this, I won't talk to you anymore. Marcus's calm expression suddenly changed drastically, and his eyes, which had been as lifeless as a stagnant pool, regained their sparkle in that moment. He reached out and pulled Emma, who was standing in front of him, into his arms. His hands tightened continuously, tears wetting Emma's clothes on her chest. Worried that holding Emma too tightly would make her uncomfortable, and worried that holding her too loosely would cause Emma to disappear before his eyes again, just like it had happened countless times in his dreams. Finally, Marcus wrapped the girl in his arms, as if treating her like a precious treasure that had been lost and found again. Emma, it's really you, isn't it? I've been looking for you, and you finally decided to come back to me. The girl gently stroked his back, her tone coaxing. You are very tired now, why don't you take a rest first? I won't leave. Marcus obediently got up, but his hand refused to let go even half an inch, pulling Emma into the bedroom. Marcus felt like he was in a dream. But if Emma is willing to come back to him, even if it's just a dream, let him never wake up. Marcus lay in bed, holding Emma tightly in his arms, afraid that she might suddenly disappear. Emma squirmed uncomfortably in his arms, as Marcus impatiently caressed her. When things were about to reach the final step, Marcus's confused mind suddenly cleared up. When Marcus realized that the woman he didn't know was lying beneath him, he had a splitting headache and tightly grabbed her neck to interrogate her. Who are you? Emma, where did you take my Emma? She was just here a moment ago. Under the influence of alcohol, Marcus had no idea how strong his grip was. The girl who was pinned under him struggled to break free, but Marcus seemed to be deaf to the outside world. In the end, the girl reached for the vase on the bedside table and smashed it towards Marcus, gasping for breath heavily after relieving the danger. The woman was not Emma at all, but Emma's half-sister Gloria Caldwell. Kate couldn't stand watching Marcus obsess over Emma all day long, and now he has become a ghost of his former self. She tried every possible way, but nothing worked. Suddenly, she remembered that Emma had a younger sister who was 3 years younger than her. Kaysen didn't remarry until after Eliana passed away, but he had already been unfaithful and had a daughter out of wedlock, Gloria, long before that. After receiving the photo, Kate immediately made a decision upon seeing the striking resemblance between Gloria and Emma. She promised benefits to the Caldwell family on the condition that Gloria get close to Marcus and heal the emotional wounds he had suffered. I didn't expect to make a mess of things by trying to be clever. Gloria looked at Marcus, who was bleeding profusely from his head, with caution. She wanted to leave but was held tightly. Marcus was not a fool. After regaining his senses and looking at Gloria, who bore a striking resemblance to Emma, he quickly deduced what had happened. You are Emma's sister, right? Give her a call, no matter what you have to do, just get her to come back. I can help you get whatever you want. Upon hearing this, Gloria rolled her eyes in disbelief. What's worth looking for in something without a father or mother? As soon as the words were spoken, the hand gripping Gloria's wrist suddenly tightened, as if trying to break her bones. Marcus stared at Gloria with a cold gaze, warning her word by word. I won't allow anyone to slander Emma. If I hear another word, I'll kill you. Chapter 17. Under Marcus's threat, Gloria reluctantly dialed Emma's phone number. The phone rang for a while before being answered, and Emma's voice was filled with annoyance at being woken up. Sister, I'm Gloria. Dad got seriously ill. He wants you to come back and see him. On the other end of the phone, Emma was completely stunned for a minute before she finally found Gloria's number in the depths of her mind. It had been so long since they had last been in touch that Emma was almost forgetting that she still had a father and a half-sister from the same father. She said in a flat tone, I have had no relationship with the Caldwell family for a long time. Whether he is alive or dead, it has nothing to do with me, and there is no need to inform me. Gloria looked displeased, and the deliberately gentle tone she had put on was nowhere to be found. No wonder Dad didn't want you, Emma. You really are unpleasant. It serves you right for being abandoned by Dad and then by the Donovan family heir. On the other end of the phone, Emma instantly snapped out of her daze. She asked coldly, did Marcus ask you to call? Although she was asking, Emma already had the answer in her heart. Gloria sneered, so what if it is, Emma, I just can't stand the way you look. With a click, the phone was hung up before Gloria even had time to react. Marcus, who had become ice cold all over due to losing too much blood, only managed to say a few words in a very weak voice. Emma, I didn't want to abandon you. After the phone call was disconnected, Marcus fell into a coma due to excessive blood loss. Gloria, who had originally planned to leave secretly, contacted Kate in the end because she was afraid of causing someone's death, thus saving Marcus's life. And in the hospital room at this moment, Marcus was still in a coma. He had been in a deep sleep for 2 full days, and Kate's heart grew more and more anxious as she waited. Emma, just when Kate thought Marcus was about to wake up, the doctor said that what he was saying was just subconscious behavior. Emma's departure had become Marcus's heartache. Looking at the emaciated Marcus, who was no longer recognizable, Kate couldn't help but cry uncontrollably at the bedside. Marcus, you must wake up. As long as you can wake up, Mom will swallow her pride and beg Emma to come back to see you. But if you remain unconscious and never wake up, you will never have the chance to see Emma again. Perhaps it was Kate's words that had an effect. Marcus struggled to wake up from unconsciousness and tightly grasped Kate's hand. Mom, I wanted to see Emma. This sentence seemed to have drained all of Marcus's strength. Gloria tried to use Kayson's serious illness as an excuse, but she still couldn't deceive Emma into coming back. Marcus really didn't know how else he could find Emma. In the past, Kate also treated Emma as if she were her own daughter, and Emma was such a soft-hearted person. Perhaps this time, Kate could really persuade Emma to come back. Seeing the agonizing look on Marcus's face, Kate hesitated for a moment, but ultimately agreed to immediately call Emma. The phone only rang twice before being hung up. Kate could only dial the number over and over again. Finally, under her persistent efforts, Emma gave in and answered the phone. Kate was worried that the phone had been disconnected, so she quickly spoke in a hushed voice, her tone filled with pleading. Emma, Auntie really couldn't help it, please don't hang up the phone so quickly. Hearing Kate's choked voice, Emma sighed in her heart, but she couldn't bring herself to hang up the phone immediately. After going through so much, she found it difficult to feel as close to Kate as before. Emma spoke in a distant tone, Madam Donovan, what is the reason for your call to me? Although Kate had not said anything yet, Emma already had a faint answer in her heart. There was really no reason for Kate to call her, except for Marcus. Sure enough, the next second, Emma heard Kate's pleading voice. Emma, since you left, Marcus has been looking for you. He did some things that hurt you in the past, but he now realizes his mistakes. Can you give him another chance, or come back to see him again? Listening to Kate's pleading voice, Emma did not agree but also did not immediately refuse. Chapter 18. It has been almost 3 months since she left Chicago. During this period, she traveled to several places and eventually settled in Paris. Emma loved this romantic city. From Estrella, she also knew that Marcus had never given up on finding her. Because Marcus had been constantly trying to find out information about Emma, she had been too afraid to reveal her information and location on social media. This way of doing things is not a long-term solution. Some things should indeed be clarified with Marcus face to face. I will make a trip back to Chicago in a week, and I will contact you then. Emma would relent, not only surprising Kate, but even catching Marcus off guard. Excitedly, Marcus sat up from the hospital bed and reached out to grab the phone, but it had already been hung up after Emma said those words. Marcus didn't feel too upset when he missed again, instead, he smiled. He was so excited that his voice was trembling. Emma said she's willing to come back. I can't see her like this. Mom, please call Lucian and ask him to come over. Watching the renewed vitality in Marcus's eyes, Kate instantly turned from tears to smiles. With the motivation to keep going, this time Kate didn't need to force Marcus at all. He voluntarily requested a full body checkup and obediently took his medication and IV drip every day. Marcus's health was gradually improving, but he was discharged on the third day. He had the workers work overtime to expand the area of the greenhouse, and had Lucian buy over 100 cherry blossom trees to plant inside. He then found craftsmen skilled in tree cultivation, ensuring that the cherry blossoms would continue to bloom continuously during this period by adjusting the temperature. In addition to these, Marcus also had a ring custom made, planning to propose to Emma again on the day she returned. This time, he would never betray Emma again. A week passed in the blink of an eye, and Marcus had been following Kate around like a shadow all day, finally receiving another call from Emma. Marcus had already instructed Kate to tell Emma the address for the meeting. On the phone, Emma heard that the meeting place was actually in the suburbs, but she didn't show any resistance. The next morning, Marcus got ready early and went to the suburban greenhouse to wait for Emma to arrive. It wasn't until afternoon that Marcus finally saw Emma's figure walking in. Marcus couldn't control the slight redness in his eyes. The scenes that had appeared countless times in his dreams finally materialized in the real world. From the moment Emma stepped in, she noticed the carefully arranged venue. It was the height of summer, yet the cherry blossoms were in full bloom, covering the ground with fallen petals, creating a beautiful and dreamy scene. When she agreed to Marcus's pursuit, it was during the season when cherry blossoms were in full bloom in spring. Emma didn't linger on these things for too long, instead she looked at Marcus with a burning gaze. Although Emma had already guessed some things from Kate's crying, she was still startled to see Marcus at that moment. In just 3 months, Marcus had managed to transform himself into this state, his emaciated figure unable to even fill out his suit. If it weren't for the light shining in his eyes, Emma might have even thought that Marcus was a soulless zombie. Watching this scene, Emma felt no trace of pity in her heart. Emma stopped 3 meters away from Marcus, her voice cold. "Say what you have to say quickly, but I hope that after today, you will no longer disturb my life." Marcus had a hurt look in his eyes, but Emma was not moved at all. "Emma, I was thinking of you every moment. I know you must hate me for betraying you, but I have changed. You don't like Claire and her baby, I have taken care of them for you. So, will you come back to me? I promise you, from now on, I will never betray you again. If I can't keep my promise, let me live the rest of my life in loneliness." Marcus spoke very sincerely in every sentence, but Emma found it quite ridiculous. Before she discovered all of this, Marcus had many chances to turn back, but he didn't. "Marcus, if I hadn't suddenly disappeared, would you have taken the initiative to end things cleanly with Claire?" Chapter 19. Yes, you were the most important person to me. Marcus hardly hesitated before he gave his answer. Emma heard this answer, a mocking smile playing at the corner of her mouth, stinging Marcus's eyes. She showed no mercy, giving an answer completely different from Marcus's. You neither wanted to let go of me, nor were you indulging in the excitement Claire gave you. Otherwise you wouldn't have been so happy after knowing she was pregnant. The way you are answering now is simply because you already knew I would leave you. In fact, what you regret most in your heart is that you didn't hide your affair better. If time were to turn back, I guess you would have arranged Claire to be even further away from me, preferably never to meet again in this lifetime, so that you could have the best of both worlds." Marcus's face turned pale, as if his most secret thoughts had been exposed. He clenched his fist tightly but couldn't stop his body from trembling. His lips opened and closed several times before Marcus finally found his voice again. "Emma, you can't convict me based on things that didn't happen." Marcus's face was full of pain as he shook his head to deny Emma's guess. Emma found Marcus's self-deceiving appearance now very ridiculous, pulling the corners of her mouth but unable to laugh. "Perhaps those were just my guesses, but the fact that you have betrayed me is something that cannot be changed, Marcus. What makes you think that after doing so many disgusting things to me, you can expect me to forgive you without holding a grudge?" Marcus's heart began to ache again, so much so that he could barely stand. The diamond ring he had been holding tightly slipped out of his hand and rolled to Emma's feet. He looked at Emma with a stubborn gaze. "Why did you still choose to come back? Aren't you afraid?" Emma felt a surge of disgust in her heart. Even though Marcus didn't finish his sentence, she knew what the rest of it was. Relying on Marcus's means and abilities, it was entirely possible to trap her in Chicago. Originally, she really didn't want to come back. Rodney Moody was right when he said that avoiding is never the way to solve problems at their root. Only by facing the problem directly can we no longer be troubled by it. So Emma agreed to return to her country to meet Marcus, just to completely break things off with him. Marcus, you should know more about the law than I do. The charge of unlawful imprisonment, you wouldn't want to take on. I came back this time just to break up with you. After all, your entanglement has already affected my normal life. As soon as the words fell, Emma turned around to leave. Just as he took 2 steps, his wrist was suddenly grabbed by Marcus. Marcus didn't say anything, but the pleading in his eyes had already revealed his thoughts. He wanted to ask Emma not to be so cruel to him, not to leave him like that again. Emma's eyes were filled with disgust. Before she could break free from Marcus's restraints, Rodney walked in. Darling, why did it take you so long? Rodney naturally wrapped his arms around Emma's waist and gently kissed her forehead. Marcus was so shocked by everything he saw that he didn't even notice when Emma's hand slipped out of his. The shock and pain in his eyes were too obvious. Who are you? Rodney took a step back, with his arm around Emma's waist, a gentlemanly smile on his face. Hello, I am Emma's boyfriend Rodney. If you have the chance, feel free to visit Paris. Marcus gritted his teeth and said nothing, nor did he stop Emma from leaving. After Emma and Rodney left side by side, he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Chapter 20. Kate, who was waiting outside, felt a sense of unease when she saw Rodney go in. So when Emma and Rodney were about to leave, Kate didn't even think twice before stopping them in their tracks. Emma, are you leaving already? Is this person your friend? For Kate, Emma had a little more patience than Marcus, but only when compared to Marcus. Since that night at the Donovan family's old mansion when Emma heard those words, she could no longer treat Kate with kindness. Faced with Kate's not-so-friendly inquiry, Emma just gave a matter-of-fact response. There is nothing more to say about Marcus and me, and this is my boyfriend Rodney. Rodney greeted Kate politely, but Kate was not in the mood to respond. Instead, she felt a hint of resentment towards Emma, and her tone also carried a hint of displeasure. Emma, you and Marcus broke up less than 2 months ago, how could you? Can't you see that he has suffered a lot for you during this time? Since you promised to come back and see him, why can't you give him a chance? Kate's gaze, which she cast on Emma and Rodney, made Emma frown deeply and her face instantly turned cold. Madam Donovan, no matter how much Marcus suffered or what happened, he has no relationship with me in terms of money. Everything is his own fault. I was willing to agree to meet with him because of your past kindness to me. Is it only acceptable for Marcus to cheat before the wedding, and I have to seek your opinion again after breaking up with him and starting a new relationship? What qualifications does Marcus have to make me do this for him? Madam Donovan, you knew about Marcus cheating before I did, but you chose to keep it from me. I won't judge whether what you did was right or wrong, but you have no right to ask for my forgiveness for your actions. Kate's face turned red and then pale as she was scolded by Emma. Seeing Marcus weakly leaning against the wall and coming out, she didn't even bother to argue with Emma, and hurriedly ran towards Marcus. Emma glanced back and then placed her hand in Rodney's, leaving together with him. From then on, she had no further relationship with Marcus. This was Rodney's first time in Chicago. Emma took him around the city and they met up with Estrella Bennett. They made plans for Estrella to visit Paris in the future before leaving Chicago and returning to Paris. The plane landed in Paris again, and Emma felt a long-lost sense of relaxation rising in her heart. Emma met Rodney when she first came to Paris. At that time, Emma, who was looking for a house with the agent, was almost cheated, but Rodney appeared and stopped it all, and then introduced a house to Emma. After that, the two of them became friends, occasionally meeting for meals and gatherings, and they became more and more familiar with each other. Later, Rodney confessed his feelings, and Emma almost naturally agreed. Some people might think that Emma was being cold-hearted by starting a new relationship just 2 months after breaking up with Marcus. But all of these had no effect on Emma. As Rodney said, avoiding will only cause more trouble for oneself, facing fear is the best way to overcome it. Emma never doubted sincerity, but she couldn't deny that sincerity changes in the blink of an eye. Emma would not deny Marcus's sincerity back then, nor would she deny Rodney's sincerity now. She had the courage to leave decisively after knowing Marcus had changed his mind, so she had the courage to accept another person's sincere love again. Chapter 21. After returning to Paris from Chicago, Emma was no longer bothered by those people who claimed to be her friends back home, and her life gradually returned to peace. At this time, Marcus in the country, after Emma left, has been maintaining a numb state, like a soulless walking corpse. Kate was both angry and heartbroken, usually elegant, now cursing like a market shrew. When Gavin walked into the ward, he saw Marcus and Kate like this, and he was instantly furious. Gavin pulled Marcus up from the sickbed and slapped him hard twice. Marcus's mouth was bleeding, and Gavin's voice was angrily reprimanding him in his ear. "Marcus, look at yourself now, do you think Emma will come back to you like this? She wouldn't even give you a second glance now. If you continue to be so decadent, you will only become a laughingstock to everyone. Even if you don't care about others, take a look at your mother. She is so worried about you that it has changed her into what she is now." There was finally a flicker of movement in Marcus's dull eyes. His gaze fell on Kate's face. In just 2 months, he not only tortured himself into a non-human form, but also added many wrinkles to Kate's face. Her once meticulously combed hair was now messy, with a lot of white hair mixed in. Actually, it's not just Kate, even Gavin was the same. Since Emma left, Marcus has been into this ghostly figure. Many people's whereabouts and has turned himself relentlessly searching for her in Chicago or laughing at the Donovan family. Many people wanted to take the opportunity to bring down the Donovan group and profit from it. Gavin was exhausted both physically and mentally as he cleaned up the mess Marcus had caused while also keeping an eye out for the other powerful families in Chicago. Marcus's eyes suddenly turned red, and tears welled up in his eyes once again. "Mom, Dad, I'm sorry, in the future." Tears dampened the sheets, and the promises Marcus wanted to say were never fully spoken. Over the next period of time, Marcus cooperated with the treatment. After his body had recovered almost completely, he returned to the company. Marcus's business acumen has always been a shocking presence. Otherwise, those people in Chicago would not have chosen to attack the Donovan group when Marcus was half dead. After taking back control of the company, Marcus aggressively retaliated against all those who had targeted the Donovan group during his absence. As one industry after another declared bankruptcy, the remaining people nervously sought out Marcus, apologizing in a low voice, and various compensations flowed into the pockets of the Donovan group like water, bringing an end to this commercial battle. Gavin and Kate's faces lit up with joy, thinking that Marcus had finally moved on from Emma leaving. When they arranged a blind date for Marcus, he exploded in anger, realizing that he had just been burying his sadness deep inside. This time, no one was able to convince Marcus, no matter who tried. Apart from work, Marcus almost cut off all social interactions. After work, he would return to the home that no longer had Emma in it. Only by lying in the same spot where Emma used to lie, could he fall asleep. Chapter 22. Under Marcus's leadership, the Donovan Group gradually took over half of Chicago. He began to expand his business overseas, with the first stop being Paris, France. None of the jokes Marcus made to find Emma back then are mentioned again. Not only that, but those people also began to praise Marcus's affection for Emma, as if they had completely forgotten about Marcus cheating and getting another woman pregnant before his wedding. With enough power in hand, the slanderous words would disappear. Marcus personally experienced the benefits that power brought to him, but he did not feel happy because of them. Or, one could say, Marcus's right to happiness was stripped away from the day Emma left. He did something to hurt Emma, and according to his promise, he should have ended up alone. Happiness was supposed to be out of reach for him. Marcus hadn't paid much attention to Emma's whereabouts for a long time, only occasionally hearing that her new boyfriend Rodney was from a well-known local family, which is how he got news about Emma again. Marcus opened an American restaurant not far from where Emma lived, selling only one type of pasta. Emma immediately recognized the familiar taste after trying it once. Marcus also managed to catch a glimpse of Emma from afar in the kitchen that time. Seeing Emma and Rodney so in love, his eyes felt a little sour, but he couldn't bear to look away because he knew that his chances of seeing Emma in person were few and far between. After Emma visited the restaurant once, she rarely went back to eat there again. After all, she no longer liked the taste she used to enjoy. But the taste of this pasta unexpectedly matched the taste of other Americans, and the bustling shop was not lacking in customers. For the Donovan Group, this restaurant was just a very small industry, but Marcus would visit and stay for a few days a month. Occasionally, Marcus would see Emma passing by in front of the restaurant, sometimes going days without running into her. But he never went up to say hello to Emma. Since Emma did not want to see him, Marcus wanted to fulfill Emma's wish. In the small courtyard in front of the restaurant, Marcus was surrounded by a row of cherry blossoms, Emma's favorite Yoshino cherry. In the autumn, Emma's throat was always prone to dryness, so Marcus had the restaurant manager send some to every household in the neighborhood. What was sent to Emma were several of the best-picked fruits by Marcus himself. The item that was sent out was returned intact by the steward, along with a message. Emma and Rodney were getting married. Upon hearing this news, Marcus did not have much of a reaction, only the slightly red eyes betrayed his true emotions. On the day of the wedding, Marcus stood far behind in the crowd, and after Rodney finished reciting his vows, he was the first to shed tears before Emma. From now on, the girl who once loved him so much will never belong to him again. Marcus saw Emma passing by the restaurant again after who knows how many years, noticing her slightly protruding belly and Rodney nervously protecting her. After Emma gave birth to a child, Marcus adopted a girl in his home country who bore a resemblance to Emma in 2 ways. He was discharged from the hospital without fully recovering his health and immediately threw himself into work. The damage left behind could not be reversed by any medicine, but he continued to shuttle back and forth between Chicago and Paris, his health deteriorating day by day. He had done so many wrong things, now having the chance to see Emma from afar, he already felt very satisfied. The end. And that's a wrap on today's reading here at Booked for Drama. If you felt anything, rage, swoon, secondhand heartbreak, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your fellow drama lovers. If you have any requests, drop them in the comments. Until next time, keep reading, and keep the drama on the page.